live now.
All right, we are. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. I think this is episode 347. Today is the 7th of July, 2021. We are just wrapping up some pretty kick-ass sales we had for the 4th of July for both Semantic Mastery and MGYB. I'll post up a link on there. I think they were supposed to end last night, but as usual, we have people all around the world. So to not have anyone be cut off due to time zones, we generally make allowances for that. So I just checked. I think they're still up. So I'll put the links up there. If you're watching this, you'll be able to run over there and still take advantage of some of those deals. I know we had some stuff that was up to 50% off, which is pretty awesome. But anyways, we are here to answer your questions today. So we're going to get into that in just a minute after we say hi to the guys. I know we don't have the full team here today, but we are here to answer your questions. So let's just say hello and then go from there. So Chris, start with you, man. How you doing today?
Doing good. Just trying to survive the latest heat wave. It's gonna hit like 37 degrees tomorrow. So like, I don't know, like if it continues like that, I'm probably gonna move out to the mountains or so. But other than that, I'm pretty good here.
Sounds good, man. Bradley, how about you? How you doing today?
Good, man. I'm really busy, but glad to be here. And yeah, it's been hot as hell here in Virginia too, man. Like we hit 99 yesterday with the heat index of like 112. So you're not alone. It's hot here too.
Man, pass on that. I'm trying to think. We did get some crazy weather up in the Northwest, but luckily that's gone. And now we're back to cloudy and kind of overcast and cool. So I'm pretty happy. Let's see if you're live. Go ahead and pop something on the page so we know we're here or know you're here. I just wanted to run through a couple of things. We do have some important announcements. I know Bradley's got a couple of things for you guys. But real quick, just wanted to say, if you're new to Semantic Mastery, if you're new to MGYB, if you don't know what the hell MGYB is, if you don't know what the SEO Shield is, the best place for you to start is theseoshield.com. It's free training, finding out how you can shield your site and then not have to worry about algorithm, man, hard to say today, algorithm updates. But grab that. It's the word SEOshield.com. And then also we had several people take advantage of an offer we had with the 4th of July deals to join the mastermind. And so if you're ready to grow your digital marketing business, or you're one of the people who has a brick and mortar business, but you're also taking care of or working on the digital side, then the mastermind is definitely the place for you to be. You can find out more about that at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. So with that said, I know, Bradley, we've got a few other things we want to let people know about. Do you want to tell them about, I believe there's a webinar, right? And then POFU Live.
Yeah, there's actually 3 things to cover. The first is I started the Build with Bradley group last week, which is the Magic Page plugin or Mass Page site build group. I'm using Magic Page plugin. So we started that last week. It's pretty cool. I think we had 7 or 8 members in total, including myself, join, and we're going to be meeting every 2 weeks on the weeks that I do not have my mastermind webinar. So it's every other week. So this week not being one of them, but the next following week, it'll be another webinar for that. And that's pretty cool because, you know, the prerequisites to be a part of that group is either you're a Semantic Mastery Mastermind member, a Heavy Hitter Club member, or you can be both, it doesn't matter, or you purchase the Magic Page plugin through our link and you can prove it, which just means contact support with your purchase proof of purchase, support at semanticmastery.com, and you're welcome to join that. That's going to be an ongoing group for at least the next 3 months, probably longer though. So I'm kind of learning that process as I go. It's, you know, again, for building mass page type sites, which can be good for organic ranking and lead gen, as well as also, from what I understand, it can help to rank GMBs. So that's something in part why I wanted to do that, because I've got a bunch of GMB stuff that I'm doing, and I just think it perfectly complements what I'm doing with my directory site and some of the lead gen stuff that I'm doing. So I'm anxious to get started. The Magic Page plugin is it's pretty cool. I've played around with it a little bit. It's got a lot of functionality. It can build really large sites, but it can also build on a much smaller scale, which is kind of how I'm going to be doing it to begin with, is kind of focusing within about a 10-mile radius around GMB a GMB location, building out all those different kind of pages and see what I can do with that. So it's like I said, there's several people in the group that have other sort of mass page type builders. So you don't, again, if you're a mastermind member or a heavy hitter club member, it doesn't matter what kind of page builder you want to use. You're welcome to join that group. You just have to contact me or support at Semantic Mastery. But if you're interested in being a part of that group and you're not in one of our groups, either come join one of our groups or go purchase the plugin. I dropped the link for the webinar, the Rank and Rent Masterclass webinar that Mike Martin put on for his plugin. That will lead to a purchase for his plugin. But again, I think it's a pretty cool thing. So that was number one. Aaron says, where can I sign up for the Magic Page Plugin Build with Bradley group? Thanks. Aaron, if you're in one of our again, either Semantic Mastery Mastermind or the Heavy Hitter Club, just contact support at semanticmastery.com. Tell them you want to be part of it, and I'll get you added to the group for the next webinar, which will be next weekend. Okay. Also, Jeremy from pressadvantage and I recorded a webinar for the pressadvantage relaunch or launch with the new features, which there's several new features and some premium distribution options and things like that. So that I think we're starting to promote this week. Adam, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. If you guys want the details, I posted it on the page, but also make sure you pay attention to your emails. We'll have some more information out there. And if you're not on the emails, hop over. You can do it on the page. If you're watching the replay, though, just go to semanticmastery.com/HD questions, sign up at the bottom of the page.
Yeah, and that'll be really good too. We've opened up, or Jeremy has opened up subscriptions for pressadvantage a handful of times, and this time it's slightly different because there's some premium options that are really, really powerful. And he actually reopened a really special offer that I didn't think would ever happen again. And that was in part because of another group that he promoted it to. and so anyway, long story short, there's a really good opportunity right now. If you're doing a lot of press releases, then I would encourage you to pay attention to that. Either click through the link that Adam dropped in the comments box under Hump Day Hangouts, or just pay attention to your emails this week and go watch the webinar. It's not a long sales webinar like what we've done in the past, because most people are familiar with what pressadvantage is. And so it's really just highlighting what the new features are and the premium distribution service and all of that. So it's not real long. It's kind of short and to the point, but it gets to the end where the offer is, and it's a very, very strong offer. So I'd encourage you guys to check it out. If you're doing a lot of press releases, which are an integral part of what we do at Semantic Mastery, then I would encourage you to check it out, or you can keep buying them from us one-offs at MGYB, which is perfectly fine. So, and then lastly, Kofu Live. Adam, you want to chat about that?
Yeah, definitely. I just put it on the page, but Pofu Live, since we've kind of got a ton of announcements today, I'll keep it short and just say that we want you to attend. We are doing it virtually this year, so there's really no reason you can't join, and we want to make it easy. So we've lowered the price. We've got early bird pricing going on, but it goes up in 1 day, 7 hours, 50 minutes, and 21 seconds. So really want to grab the tickets. We've already got, I think a dozen people are signed up now. We're going to be announcing more cool stuff as we go. But if you go to pofulive.com, you can see who the speakers are, what we're going to be covering. And then as time goes on, we're going to get into more details. We're going to be adding a couple more speakers. We got some more good stuff coming. But right now is the lowest price. You can get the tickets, and you can find out about the dates, all that sort of good stuff. Just go over to pofulive.com.
Right on. All right. With that said, I think we can get into questions, right?
Let's do it.
All right. There's not a lot of questions, guys. So if you're here and you have questions, now would be a good time to post, because if we get to the end of the questions and we still have time left, we'll just wrap it up early, which is perfectly fine. So, all right, looks like Holgar is first. Says, hello there, working with a client who owns one company and then a few smaller websites, which are sub brands of the main company. I have organization schema in place for the main company, but thinking how I should add schema to the sub brand sites. Can I just create organization schema, or can I somehow reference the parent brand? Do you have any links to documentation? Yeah, Adam, can you drop the link in comments, maybe reply to Holgar with Rob's schema course, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so, sorry, what was it again?
It was Rob's schema course. Holgar.
Oh, right. Yeah, let me go grab that.
Yeah, if you can just reply to him and drop that link. I would encourage anybody that has any questions about any sort of schema stuff, again, either join the Heavy Hitter Club, because that's where Rob and Marco go into great detail about all that kind of stuff during their webinars and in their Facebook group. So that's really the technical SEO group. Or buy Rob's schema course, because it is hands down, from what I understand. I haven't taken a lot of schema courses, but I haven't even been all the way through Rob's yet, to be honest with you. But from what I understand and the feedback that we've heard, it's the best schema course available. So I would encourage you to check that out. You're going to learn so much from that course that I've never seen any, talked about anywhere else. He talks about node referencing and all this incredible stuff, and he gives you schema templates that you can use. So it's really, really powerful. In fact, what Rob talked about schema during POFU Live last year, so for 2020, and that is what got me kind of obsessing about SEO all over again, was his presentation about schema, because I realized I had really not, I had only scratched the surface of what was capable, and he really opened up my eyes. So that's what I would recommend. I can, with the limited information you've given in this question, it really, it's going to depend on, you said the other websites are like sub-organizations of the main brand. Well, if that's the case, then yeah, you could have organization for the main brand, and then you could use, I forget what the term would be. It might even be sub-organization for the other location or the other brands. Because a lot in schema and organizations, or in some of, like, for example, like local business schema, which is a subset of organization schema, right? It's like a subcategory of organization schema. And then in local business schema types, there are a whole bunch of different kinds, like home and construction business, which is what I use a lot. Professional services is another. But in local business schema, it talks about there's a field that you can designate parent organization. So, and I don't know that you didn't mention whether this is for a local business or not, Holgar. So again, I'm just using this as an example. If you have sub organizations or other, you call them sub brand sites that are local businesses that are part of a parent organization, right? Then that's the way that you could reference them, right? You could do local business schema on each one of the sub organization sites, and then reference the parent organization, which would be organization schema, in your local business structured data for each individual location, if that makes sense. So that's definitely one way to do it. Now, if it's not local business, there is still ways to reference between the parent organization and sub organizations. I'm just not 100% sure how to do it, because again, all I ever do is local stuff. So, but I do I've got several brands that I work with that have multiple locations, and that's exactly what we do. We put organization schema on the homepage, and then for all of the location pages, it's all on the same website, but it would work the same, is for each one of the location pages that has its own physical location, its own GMB associated with it. They each have, on the main website, it each has its own location page, and on each location page, it has location or local business schema or structured data that references the parent organization, and essentially it's connected data, right? Where it pulls in the organization schema into the local business schema, but it's connected properly so that it's not ambiguating the main entity of each page, if that makes sense. So again, we've talked about this before, but years ago, or even, well, really up until POFU Live of last year, I would oftentimes put organization schema in the HTML header of the entire site. Okay. And then on the local business pages or the location pages, I would put local business structured data. And there was really competing schema on those pages because it wasn't connected properly or referenced properly. So Google was seeing two separate sets of schema on the page, right? One would be organization and one would be local business, or a subset of local business, like home and construction business, for example. And so what is the main entity of the page then? And there is a way to designate that as well, but the better way to do it is to have one type of schema on the page that references, the organization, if it's a, sub-organization, for example. It's just it's the better way to do it so that it's not ambiguating what the main entity of the page is. And that, again, this is all taught in Rob's course. So I'd encourage you to check that out. So hopefully that makes some sense. Unfortunately, Marcus not here today. He could probably give you an answer, at least an answer that might be explained in a different way. So hopefully that makes sense. If it does not, post a follow-up question. I'll try to answer it. The short answer is go buy Rob's course or join the Heavy Hitter Club, where we get into much more detail for that stuff. Lisa's questions for Marco. Unfortunately, he's not here today. I'll try to take a stab at it. Are you doing anything with voice schema? I am not. Do you think it would benefit much, and how would it fit into a large website? Now, let me preface what I'm pre-qualify, I guess, what I'm saying. I'm not doing anything with voice schema. I'm not even sure how to do anything with that, to be honest with you. However, recently I have started using Yext for local business listings or citations, essentially. I'm sure you all are familiar with Yext. I'm buying it through SEMrush because it's only they, you know, as a reseller for Yext. Though you can basically sign up, you know, local businesses for Yext local listing services through SEMrush for $20 per month, which is rather inexpensive. I think if you go direct to Yext, it's like $30 a month, but you have to sign a contract for a year. At least it used to be, because I used to be a reseller for Yext, and I would have to sign a contract for a year. And then that's how I would sell it too, is I would get clients to sign a contract for a year. So, and it's a pretty bulletproof contract, trust me, because I've had people try to get out of it. What I like about SEMrush and Yext is that it's only $20 a month and there's no contract. So it's much easier to work with. So the reason why I started using Yext is, if you guys just want to find out more about it, just go to yext.com and check out why it's important. They submit to multiple voice search and voice assistant type services like Alexa, Google, what is it? Google Assistant, or Google Home, or whatever. I don't use any of those things, but I know that they're powerful. And why do I know that? Well, I recently, one of my newer clients, I had added their, it's a tree service contractor, and I added Yext local business listings through SEMrush for them. And I got a call about 3 weeks ago now, and my contractor was like, "Hey, I just want to tell you, it's really cool. I had a lead come in. I just did a job for a customer who said that they saw my truck, you know, because he's got his truck all decaled up with their company name and everything. And she picked up her phone, and I think she was on an Apple phone, so she was talking to Siri, and she just said, 'Call,' and she said the company name. And that's all she did. She didn't do a search or anything first. She just said, 'Call,' and then said the company name that she saw on the truck, and it instantly called his number directly, and it ended up being a job that they did. So he was like, "I thought that was really cool, man," because she apparently told him how she found him, and I thought that was incredibly cool. And I was just like, wow, you know, that's something that's really strong because of like Alexa and Google Assistant and all that kind of stuff. Is people can now just literally say a term, a search term, or a brand name or something like that, and it will automatically direct them to either a phone call or the website directly. And so that's really powerful. And I know that has something to do with voice schema. I just don't know how that's all formatted or how you would do that yourself. I know that Yext provides that as a service. It's just standard with their Yext local listing services now. And it's cool because in SEMrush, it shows you, I think there's like 85 different, you know, directories essentially, which include some of those voice search engines. And it shows all the different ones that are voice activated. And I think there's like 6 or 8 of them actually. So it's pretty cool. I think it's pretty powerful. That's going to be becoming more and more common as, you know, as time goes on. So I think it's pretty powerful to get involved with that, is while you can now, especially as like an early adopter, right? And I know, again, not promoting Yext because I get anything out of it. I'm just saying all I know is Yext automatically submits to many of those kind of voice search or assistant type engines. And I've already seen some benefits from that for some of my own work. So anybody want to comment on that?
Good.
Nope. Okay. So Johnny Miami says, are there any tools we can check to see how strong our entities are and how they stack up against competitors and or the SERP average? The only thing that I know besides like, and again, I don't know that this is precisely what you're asking about, Johnny, is Inlinks. I think it's inlinks.net. I haven't started using it yet, but I'm going to. they have, and by the way, if anybody decides to sign up with this, if you tell them that Marco Benavides from Semantic Mastery sent you or referred you, then I think he gets a donation to his charity for everybody that signs up, and it's a donation directly from InLinks, the company. So if you decide to sign up for that, we don't even have an affiliate link for it. He'll just get some donation credit per sign up to his charity. So, but as far as I know, this one will, again, I have not started using this yet, although it's on my radar. I'm looking to start using this within probably the next week and a half. It's been on my to-do list for about a week and a half now. I just haven't got to it yet, but I believe this will show you kind of like what your entity strength is and how to improve it. It will also show your competitors and things like that, if I'm not mistaken. So I would take some time, guys, just take a look at their features. I believe they do. They probably have a YouTube channel where you can find out more information and stuff too. So I would check this out. I know it's pretty powerful. I just have not used it yet. Let's see how they stack up against competitors as SERP average. Now, again, Johnny, there's, some of the other tools that, Surfer SEO, that will show you kind of like what the named entities are within the content. If you are using Surfer SEO and you enable NLP when you're doing like an audit, for example, or the content editor or content planner or whatever, anytime you're using, like for your use case, what you're talking about, if you were to audit your existing content, so a web page that you have content on and you want to, you want to compare it to your competitors that are ranked in the top 10. And with our Surfer SEO, you can go in and drop your URL plus the keyword that you're looking to rank for, and then it will run an analysis. If you have NLP on, it'll run an analysis and it'll give you the top 10 competitors, the organic ranking competitors. You can go in and actually select, like for example, in my case, a lot of the times top 10 competitors are directory sites like Angie's List, Yelp, Home Advisor, that kind of stuff. So I usually will disable those, because they're different. Those are directory sites that, so it kind of skews the results. But what I will do is leave whatever organic ranking competitors are, like local business competitors that are ranked in the top 10 organic, I'll leave those on. And then that gives me an indication of like how to tune my content for entities so that I can outrank those competitors. It gives you kind of like an average or a range of how many words there should be, how many heading tags, how many images, what the entities are, the named entities, and what their relevance is to the target search term or seed search term. So, Surfer SEO is something I have been using a lot. Something else I just more recently started testing with is called, oh shit, what's the name of it? It's Eric Lancheres. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, guys. Sorry, but it's another tool that does kind of entity stuff. If I could find it, I'd share it with you. Just a minute. Let me check, see if I've got it open. Yeah, right there. Okay. Onpage.ai. That's what it is. I started testing with this. This doesn't have as much functionality, or, it doesn't do as much as Surfer SEO in the way of content optimization. It does do something similar, but what's kind of cool about this is you can actually analyze your backlinks and see what Google thinks of your backlinks as far as what the topical relevance of the backlinks is. Something kind of similar to what Majestic does with topical trust flow, but it's a little bit different. So you can literally go take your backlinks from Search Console, for example, and or from Ahrefs or something like that, and you can paste them in to here, and it will analyze the backlinks and tell you what the topical category, based upon what Google thinks the topical category of the page that contains the link that links back to your target URL site is. And what's really interesting is it shows that if you have links that you thought it can show you where you thought you had links coming from relevant content and they're actually not relevant. And as we've been teaching at Semantic Mastery for years, relevancy is incredibly important. In my opinion, more important than just the domain metrics that the link is placed on, right? And that's what a lot of people still teach, is the power. Obviously, if you have a super powerful page that you can get a link from, then topical relevance is not nearly as important, because you can still get a lot of benefit from having a link from a very, very powerful page. But let's be honest, a lot of the times when we end up building links from, wherever we put content to build links back, a lot of the times that page that gets published that contains the link back to our target isn't, it doesn't have a lot of power until we power that page up. And so it's really important to make sure that the content of that page is topically relevant in Google's eyes to what the destination or target URL is, which would be your site, your money site, whatever it is you're trying to power up. And so that's where I thought this tool was pretty cool, is because you can go actually extract your backlinks that are currently existing and then do an analysis to determine what the topical category is in Google's eyes of those that content. And then you can determine very quickly, like, okay, like all these links, aren't really relevant, at least according to Google. And then you can go back, and if you have access to edit that content, is make it more relevant. So now that link becomes more valuable because you've just turned a non-topically relevant link into one that is topically relevant. So you can actually squeeze more power out of existing backlinks. I thought that was a really cool feature of this tool. And then lastly, there's also what they call predictive guest post, I think it's called. Yeah, predictive guest posts, where you can, when you're drafting content for link building, you can paste the content into here and it will analyze it and tell you what the category and categories are of the content, so that you can tune it to make sure that it is precisely or perfectly optimized for the topical category that you want before you actually publish that link building post, if that makes sense. So there's some pretty cool features in this one as well. There are a lot of tools out right now, guys, that will help with SEO. I can't test them all. I am trying to test as many as I can. This one is the next one on my list, is InLinks. Okay. And by the way, there might be in the future a course coming out from us about this very thing. Okay. Because it's something that I've been testing a lot of these tools and training one of my, my blogger who's now full-time. I've been training her on how to use these tools and how to tune, like draft content, tune content, all of that. And so because I've done so much testing and training on that, I think we're going to end up making a course out of it and launching that in a few months. So just be on the lookout for that. Of course, we'll talk more about that before we do. Hopefully that was helpful, Johnny. Jackie says, looking to get into lead gen and build out some websites to rank and monetize, but not sure where to start. We'll be getting shields and syndication rings and all, but as far as directing the calls, would you recommend just pointing to a random local state business first until the site starts to rank and then approaching the business to buy leads? No, I mean, I think I understand what you're saying. So you're saying, like, as far as directing the calls. Oh, okay. Directing calls. Okay. So you build your own asset and then you can start to get calls. Jackie, I would recommend that you really check out the MPP Rank and Rent Masterclass link that we just dropped here. So semanticmastery.com/MPP, which is Mike Martin's magic page plugin. You'll go to a webinar. It's an auto webinar. Watch the webinar. At the end, he's going to give you an offer to purchase the magic page plugin, which is a kind of a mass page builder type site. If you do end up, and I'll get to why in a minute, but if you do end up buying that, then make sure you contact support through our link. Then if you buy it through our link, contact support@semanticmastery.com and tell them you bought it. Send your proof of purchase, and then tell them you want to be added to the Build with Bradley group, where that is specifically what we're doing, is building with mass page type sites. I'm using the Magic Page plugin for lead gen and for building lead gen assets that both on the organic side as well as can also be used to help rank GMB stuff. So I'm doing it specifically for both reasons. One, to help rank existing GMBs, but also to start targeting more organic stuff too on a larger scale, right? On a mass scale. So I would encourage you to check that out. Number one, because this is precisely kind of what you said you want to get in the lead gen business. It's a perfect product for that. But number two, you'll also get to join, if you buy that through our link, you'll get to join the Build with Bradley group, where you can meet with me once every 2 weeks. The webinars are going to be between 60 to 90 minutes long, and it's a meeting, not a webinar. It's an actual Zoom meeting. So you get to ask questions, turn your camera on. It's a peer group, an accountability group. So it's me as well as other members. Some of the other members have already been building sites, so they have more experience than I do. We are all going to learn from each other. Okay. And I think it's going to be an invaluable group for anybody that is interested at all in any of this kind of stuff. It's a very inexpensive product to purchase to be able to get access to a group like what I'm describing, because again, this is a truly a learning experience where we can all share what works and what, and how to get better at this together. Okay. But getting back to this, what would you do? By the way, part of the Magic Page plugin, I think the funnel, I haven't been through that funnel because I have the plugin, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that Lead Simplify is part of that. We've done a promotion for Lead Simplify. I use which is also Mike Martin's product. It's great. I use it in my own business, and I have been since I think September or so of last year. So I've been using it for almost a year. And the reason I started telling you all of this, Jackie, is because Lead Simplify is very inexpensive, but it is a great tool because it basically is a lead management and distribution application that will give you a custom form builder that you can embed in websites, that when somebody fills out the form, so like a lead was, for an estimate request or whatever type of business you're going to be generating leads for, when they fill out the form, it automatically goes into the Lead Simplify dashboard, and it will distribute the lead to, lead buyers that you have in the system that are, when the lead meets their criteria, they will get notified that the lead is available. Then they can purchase the lead, and it's a credit-based system. So they go in, they log, like if you set up a lead buyer account for a particular lead buyer, then they get an SMS and or an email notification that a new lead that meets their criteria is available. And then they log into the dashboard and they can see the redacted lead information. And if they decide they want to purchase it, they click purchase, and it deducts credits from however many credits they have as a balance in their account. And they purchase credits. You can do it via PayPal as well as Stripe. So like I use it in my tree service lead gen business. And so what I do is I sell credits at $10 a piece, and it costs 3 credits to purchase a tree service lead. So if somebody buys 10 credits, it's $100. And, they get essentially 3 leads out of that because it's 3, like I said, it's 3 credits per lead. And then they have 1 credit left over. But if they buy 50 credits, they get a 5% discount. If they buy 100 credits, they get a 10% discount. So in other words, they buy 100 credits, it's $900. But that ends up being the way it works out is, I think it's $27 per lead at that point because it's a 10% discount, if that makes sense. But they have what's called an auto prospector system that's built right into it, which is why I started telling you this. I think if you're going to be doing lead gen, period, you should have Lead Simplify. It just makes everything so much easier to manage. I didn't have it until September or so of last year, and I don't know how I ran my business without it. It's definitely something that's very, very important in my lead gen business now. But they have what's called an auto prospector service in there too, which is kind of cool. If you don't have any lead buyers yet, the system can actually go pull in contractors that within, like a 10-mile radius of your target area, wherever you're generating leads. And it can set up whenever a lead comes in where it will automatically send a SMS notification to all the contractors on the prospect list and tell them, hey, I got a lead, go check it out. And it sends them back to where they can register for a test account or a trial account in Lead Simplify. And then, you can send them a free lead, or I do 5 free leads on the trial account. And then at the end, when I get notification that the 5th lead has been delivered to one of my prospective lead buyers, then I just pick up the phone and call them. And I say, hey, listen, I've sent you 5 leads now. Did you make any money? If so, why not invest some of that money in purchasing more lead credits? You just got free money. So why not invest in getting more leads, which are going to be more jobs and that kind of stuff. And I think it's just a great system. So I would encourage you to check that out. And by the way, like I said, if you go through the Magic Page plugin where you purchase that through us and you end up with Lead Simplify and you want to find out more about how to integrate Lead Simplify and kind of the systems that I've set up for that, that's stuff that we can cover in the Build with Bradley group. Or if you join the mastermind, I talk about that stuff in there as well. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question. It's a great service though, guys. Okay. Racist says, what's the difference between pressadvantage and newswire or prunderground? I don't know what prunderground is. Newswire, I was a member of Newswire for a very long time. The difference is they're just different platforms. Press Advantage, you know, it's some backstory here. Jeremy and Press Advantage kind of split off from Newswire, I believe, if I don't have this incorrect. Newswire came out first, and then something happened, and Press Advantage ended up being launched like a year and a half, maybe 2 years later. And I was on the launch webinar with Press Advantage when it launched. I was on the webinar for that, and I subscribed to it way back then. I think it was in 2013, and I've been a member ever since of Press Advantage. I have subsequently canceled all of my subscriptions to all other press release, distribution services. I've had many of them too, by the way, over the years, and I've tested a lot of them. There's a couple of them that I recommend. Press Advantage is the one that I use the most. That's the one that I use all the time. It's just an integral part of what we do. It's built right into the SEO shield and what we talk about at Semantic Mastery. And so I can't really just, I haven't used Newswire now in probably 4 years. I know that it was a good service. I had kept both my Press Advantage and my Newswire subscriptions concurrently for a number of years. I also, for a period of time, used Press Cable, but I don't like Press Cable anymore. I think there's a lot of stuff that they do on their distribution sites that just to inflate their numbers, like their distribution, like the number of sites that it gets published to that just are really worthless. So I don't. And there's also some other kind of things that I don't like about Press Cable, excuse me. So, the short answer is I can't really speak for the others because I don't use them anymore, because Press Advantage is so powerful and because it integrates with what we do at Semantic Mastery so well, in part because we've worked with Jeremy over the years to integrate a lot of stuff that we've asked for into Press Advantage, which just makes it just works really well with our methods. Okay. I encourage you to try others, but honestly, when it comes to, if you were asking for our recommendation, it's certainly going to be Press Advantage, because again, so much of what has been the functionality built into the Press Advantage platform has been because of things that we've requested. And he's always asking if we have other things that we can think of. So it keeps getting better, right? And related to that, is it worth, and how big is the SEO benefit of getting a featured guest post on Forbes and Huffington Post? It can be very, very powerful. The link itself can be very powerful, but also the amount of traffic is where I think, it's a combination of both. The power from the link itself is incredibly powerful, but also the traffic that can come through those links. And here's the thing, like even the press release is published on the Press Advantage domain, which is where they publish first, right? Before they get picked up and syndicated by all the other distribution points, it gets published on the pressadvantage.com domain first. And if you have analytics on your site and you're publishing press releases that link back to your site, you'll see a lot of referral traffic coming from pressadvantage.com. So that those press releases are getting seen by a lot of people, and you'll see traffic through analytics for that. At least I do. And so that's where getting published on like Huffington Post or Forbes or something like that can be really powerful. Besides just the link equity or the power of the link itself, is the amount of traffic that it can generate. And that just is like adding fuel to, that's like adding jet fuel to a link, right? Because it just, the art, right? Activity, relevance, trust, and authority, as Marco always calls it, art. That activity is very, very powerful for any link, right? It's like if you have a link sitting out there in a piece of content on a PBN, and that PBN never gets any damn traffic, how valuable is that link? Not very much. Even if the metrics on that PBN are good, a lot of the times those links are basically ignored or deprecated over time if they never get any traffic. So that's just, again, having links that do get traffic are much more powerful. And that's why you can even do things with links that are kind of stagnant by running traffic to the target page, the page where the link exists, and then running traffic through that link. But you don't have to do that on, publications such as Forbes and or Huffington Post, because they get a shit ton of traffic anyway. So you're going to be eyeballs on that post for sure. And some people are going to click through. And that's a very powerful signal. Okay. Getting referral traffic from Forbes or Huffington Post would be very, very beneficial for any site. Okay. One more question. Do you use iframes on press releases? Yes, you can. Well, you can embed GMB maps. That's just kind of standard GMB for, any business that has a GMB, a local business. You can embed GMB maps, and I always recommend embedding a GMB map with your press releases. You can also embed Vimeo and or YouTube videos, but the recommendation is always use YouTube videos because it's YouTube, it's Google code. So yes, you can embed YouTube videos and you can embed GMB maps. Okay. Okay, moving on. Gabriel says, hey guys, great content as always. Are you guys using Google Web Stories for local business? I've got a lot of traffic from the discovery section, but I don't know how to implement strategically. Looking forward to your insights. Cheers from Brazil. You know what? I have not. I've got a couple clients that get enough traffic. A lot of the tree service clients I have, they don't get enough traffic for them to be in the discovery section. But for some of the bigger brands that I'm working with, they do. And I have not looked into doing web stories. I had looked at doing, I can't remember the name of them now, but there's a specific ad set in Google Ads. I think they're called discovery ads. I have to go back and look at them. It's been 3 months to 4 months since I've actually set any of those up, but I was doing a little bit of testing with those and saw some pretty good results, but I've not looked at that. In fact, I'd like to make a note of that. Google Web Stories. I know there's some pretty cool, for people that are actually implementing that stuff. I know you can get some, like, again, from there's a lesser known Google ad type. I think they're discovery ads, but I can't remember if that's the name for them or not. I have to go into my ads account to look, but I know that you can get some pretty good wins there because there's not a lot of people competing in that. Just making a note, guys, just give me a second. Google Web Stories. I'm going to take a look at that because there's, again, some of these newer kind of features that Google's been rolling out. If you can get in and start using them before a lot of others do, you'll get the initial benefit for sure, but you'll also be more established as more people start using those services. You'll be given kind of a priority. At least that's my experience with Google. If you start using stuff when it first gets launched, then you tend to get better results from it as it becomes more crowded or saturated, if that's the appropriate term. So I do. Short answer is no, I have not, but that's something that is definitely going to be on my radar. So we can maybe provide some additional insight on that as I learn more about it. Aaron says, I'm a bit fuzzy on lead gen. How do you set up a GMB account for a city if you don't already have a client? Same goes for rank and rent. How can I use the GMB setup so I can power the local GMB rankings if I do not have a location? Well, that's the key, Aaron, so there's a couple ways, Aaron. First of all, you could just do organic lead gen, right? Or you could do paid traffic lead gen. So in other words, you can just rank organically where you don't need an actual physical location. You don't need a GMB if you just want to rank pages in the organic section of search results, right? So that's number one. You can also do Google Ads, and you don't need a location to run Google Ads for lead gen. Although that's hard to do, at least in the tree service industry. It's very hard to do with Google search ads and get and make any money. I know because I've done it over the years many, many times. And it's difficult to make money on leads when you're buying search traffic from Google Ads. From YouTube leads, it's possible. It takes some dialing in to get a YouTube ads campaign set up for lead gen to where it's producing leads cheap enough to where you can make money from them. I have done it. It took a couple $1,000s of testing to get it right. So that's something that can be done. It can also be done with display ads, although I use kind of display ads more for powering up stuff that I do for SEO. So in other words, buying traffic from Google to power, like what I was talking about with the question about Forbes and Huffington Post links. If you're SEOing pages and you don't have any traffic, any activity, right? Activity, relevance, trust, and authority. But if you don't have any activity, how much of the SEO work that you're doing is actually benefiting the page if you're not getting any activity? Google starts to kind of just ignore it, right? So you can buy traffic from Google Ads to help power up what you're doing in SEO. So all that said, if you can set up organic ranking, assets for organic ranking that don't require a GMB. You can also run Google Ads. You could also run like Facebook ads and stuff. I don't do any of that shit, so I can't give you any guidance on that. But GMBs is certainly still probably the easiest way to start generating leads in a local area. And from at least in the industries that I've worked in, I have found that about 80% of the leads that I've ever generated over all these years have come from GMB assets. Only about 5% from a Google Ads, seriously, and about 15% from organic traffic. So that's a fairly good reason to try to get GMBs. There is some ways to do it. The one way that I will discuss publicly, that I've discussed many times, is you can use PO boxes. There are some other ways to still get GMBs, which I will not disclose here. In fact, I don't even talk about that shit anywhere, even in our mastermind, just because it's getting so much harder to get those GMBs. But you can do it from PO boxes using the street address option. And I'll walk through this very briefly. Just take a minute. Go to USPS.com, United States Postal Service.com. Go to rent or renew a PO box. You can put in your zip code. I'll just put in mine, for example. Put in the zip code of where you want the lead gen asset, the GMB. And what you want to do is you want to find a post office that has this available, premium PO box services available. When you see that, then you can use what's called the street address option. So in other words, you can rent the PO box online, and it will, and throughout the checkout process, which is very inexpensive. So for example, if I click on this and I click on the smallest mailbox, now Culpeper is a rural area, so it's much less expensive. It's much cheaper to rent a PO box from a rural area than it is from a metropolitan or a high densely populated area. But what I do is I rent them for 3 months, just like that. It will automatically enroll you in auto rebill. So just near the end of 3 months, just set a calendar reminder to cancel the PO box before it rebills you. But what I do is I rent them for 3 months, and then throughout the checkout process, as long as it says premium PO box services available, there will be a checkbox that says, you want to use premium PO box services. You check that box and it will give you an additional form. It's a PDF it's pre-filled out with the information that you fill out through the checkout process. You just print it out, and it's a 2-page form. And it gives you a couple of options. Number one, to use the street address instead of the PO box. So in other words, if it's, in this case, 205 South Main Street, Culpeper 22701 is the address of the post office. So instead of me putting like PO Box 101, Culpeper VA 22701, I could do 205 S Main Street, number sign 101, Culpeper VA 22701. So I can now address my GMB as 205 South Main Street plus the number of the box number, essentially, right? And that'll work. And then it doesn't cost anything else. You just have to you just check the box, print out the form, and then you take it to the post office with 2 forms of ID. I always use my driver's license, my vehicle registration card. And then you go in and sign the paperwork, show your 2 forms of ID. They give you the keys and assign you the box number at that point. And then you can use the street address option. That still works. I just did it like 3 weeks ago again. So it still works. And that's one of the best ways to do it. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Thank you, Adam, for posting the link to Lead Simplify. So yeah, local GMBs, that's the way to do it. Obviously the drawback there is you have to physically drive to the PO box to secure it, and then go set up your GMB, and then you got to wait a week for the postcard to be sent, and then go back to the post office to get the card. And if it's not there and you just drove out there for nothing, trust me, I've done that many times where I've driven out to the post office expecting it to be there and it wasn't there, and I had to go back and request it again. So it's a bit of a pain in the ass. There's one other way that you can do it that I can talk about, which would be and I've done this before. I haven't done this in several years now, probably 5 years now, but I'm sure it can still be done, would be to go post an ad on Craigslist in the area that you want to have a GMB, and say like, I'll pay $50 or I'll pay $100 for somebody to receive a postcard, and, text me the verification card in the postcard. I've done that a few times. I've paid as little as $50, but as much as $100 to do that. And what happens is typically you'll get renters, people that are renting a house or even an apartment. It doesn't matter what type of dwelling they're renting, but usually it's renters, because homeowners certainly aren't going to want to have a business registered to their address that doesn't really exist there. But usually renters don't give a shit, and they'll take $100, in a heartbeat just to receive a postcard and send you an email or a text with the verification number. So I know that has worked in the past. So you might want to check that out as well. Okay. All right, moving on. Stories Google looks cool. That looks pretty cool. I'm gonna have to check that out, guys. Thank you. Okay. Is what a WordPress plugin? Lead Simplify? Lead Simplify is not a plugin. Is that what somebody was asking? I don't know.
No, it's related to the Stories Google thing.
The Google Stories thing?
Yeah, so like there's the link as well. Like if you scroll all the way down, you can actually see it, the WPE, that one.
Get the plugin. Oh, that's a WordPress plugin. I'll be damned. Okay. So that's different than what I was thinking of. Huh. Okay, that's cool. WPstories.google. I'm going to make a note of that. WPstories.google. I'll take a look at this for sure. Anything that Google launches, guys, if we can, again, if you jump in on it and start using it and figure out how to make it work before a lot of people jump on the bandwagon, you typically get like accelerated benefits from it. At least that's my experience. So I'll check it out.
Yep.
Aaron says, Bradley, thanks for the information. You're welcome. Were you going to say something else, Chris?
Just confirming the accelerated benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, guys, I don't see any other questions. You want to post one? I'll answer it. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up a few minutes early, which is fine. Anything else, Adam?
I got a question for you, Bradley, because I'm looking into this. So I'm curious if you've ever done this. Have you ever used any of these robotic handwritten letter services?
Yeah, there's one that I use that integrates with Zapier. Shit, I'd have to look at the Zapier apps list to be able to tell you which one it was. But for real estate stuff, I've used that before for, prospecting letters and things like that, or thank you cards after a closing, after, I flipped a property or something. And it's cool because, again, with Zapier, it would integrate with the CRM. So essentially when I would mark a property as closed, it would automatically send one of those handwritten cards to the the purchaser of the property, thanking them. So I have tested. I have other for only for real estate though.
Gotcha. Yeah, if anyone has any other recommendations, I'm looking at Ignite Post. Had a call with them, and then I'm just doing some comparisons. So it's something I haven't really done before, but we'll be happy to share the results of that. I think it's a great way to add to the touch points. Yeah,
I'm starting to do more direct mail again. Even for prospecting for tree service clients. And, it's kind of hit or miss. The most important thing is getting a good list of addresses. That's a lot of the times if you're using scrapers, the addresses that you scrape are wrong, and you'll get a lot of returned mail or, people saying return to sender because not at this address and that kind of stuff. So it's important to get a good list if you're going to be doing direct mail. That's for sure. So
good.